Miami breaks through. Now it's on to the next step, and it's a mammoth one. I know that you are all relishing this one, regardless of the opponent. It's Miami's quest to continue its march through college football and regain elite status. We appreciate you being here at the Voice of College Football. And this is the Miami show that we do each and every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time with Cam Underwood from State of the U. Of course, look at that, 458 times.
Sheesh.
Woo! But here we are accommodating for the holidays and travel schedules and such. So, Cam, thank you so much for making this happen.
No problem. Thanks for also being flexible. I know that, we got the holiday. Everybody has the same holidays going on. So, peace and blessings and holiday cheer and greetings to all of you who are listening or watching, whenever you are listening and watching. Also, just a note now, the time that we normally do this show on Wednesday night will be the actual game next week. So we're going to move the show next week as well, probably to a Monday or Tuesday. Not exactly sure. We will let you know. So yes, we have been preempted this week by Christmas Eve, and next week we are preempted by the actual game we're talking about, ladies and gentlemen. So just want to say that. Good morning, Eddie Delva. Mr. HD, this is what we've been waiting the last 23 years for. And Daniel M. Henry, I refuse to read your message. The very first one out there at the top. I'm not going to do it because I'm a native Michigander and I do not do that chant. Period.
Absolutely. And there's no reason for me to even do that. But we do, as long as you're not personally attacking anyone, you can do whatever you want in the chat, trash talking and so forth, or just, proclaiming your team or whatever. But yeah, do not expect Cam to read that. And there's no necessary reason for me to even do it. So let's go here. Miami beats Texas A&M, hard-fought game. I don't know if you heard Steve Hellwag in our previous show. Cam jumped on for the final few minutes, so you may want to catch that. Ohio State Buckeyes Live, and Steve was just mentioning it was a brutal game from a standpoint of hitting and just guys flying everywhere, going after it. By standards, because I've seen it all over the place, that didn't watch the game or don't really understand football are going to look at the final score, and already have. I've seen it all over the way. 10-3. They suck. For some reason, your fringe football fan or your non-knowledgeable football fan is impressed with 45-42. Like, that's awesome. That's great. We're not going to point out the defensive deficiencies, but 10-3 is that's awful football. These teams must be bad. It was not scintillating offensively, but there were certainly missed opportunities, meaning 3 missed field goals. They could have pushed it to 19, and other opportunities for both teams, but specifically Miami. I came away knowing what the offensive personnel is, which I'm not going to say it's one of the very best offenses in the country, but it's not far off when it utilizes Malachi Tony. Mark Fletcher was a beast. The offensive line we know is arguably the best. And Carson Beck, for all his detractors, is definitely a top 10 quarterback in the sport. So and then the defense was just lights out. And I know Texas A&M, I was picking on Marcel Reed because I just didn't think he could throw a swing pass, let alone anything else, for about 3 quarters. But then he started to feel it and started to sling it like he can. And obviously he was a threat on the ground the entire game. So to me, it was an impressive effort in a hostile environment.
It absolutely was. It's easier to see and understand like points for, pretty much everybody. You know what I mean? It's just like, okay, like points, it's, offense draws viewers and defense wins championships. So it's like, oh, okay, like they scored points, so it has to be going well, kind of a thing. I'm looking at Marcel Reed's rushes. The fourth quarter, it was 2, 5, and 9. We really kept him from running. He had 3 carries in the fourth quarter, had none in the third. He had 1 11-yard scramble in the second, and then his last carry of the first was 10. But we had a couple issues with him running early, but honestly, it wasn't really much after that one in the second quarter. But yeah, it was that Smitty EG, yes, early show because it's holiday time. We got to move things around, bro. Like, just deal with it. But yeah, this was a real defensive game, and but I will agree with you. Miami left all kinds of points on the board, right? So you miss a 21-yard, or sorry, you make a short field goal, 21 yards. That, I mean, like, I get why you go for it, or you kick the ball there in the third quarter to score the first points of the game and like put the impetus on A&M to go score. That's 4 points left because you need that to be 7, right? You get down inside the red zone again. Excuse me. End up missing a field goal. Like, that's, another, that was the doink. That's another one that shouldn't even been 3. That should have been 7. Now you're talking about 21. Then you get the other 2. Like, my prediction was, I said 31 for Miami, and then I edited it down and said 27-24 on the show. And my thought process was 5 scores, 3 touchdowns, 2 field goals. That doink, if you make that a touchdown, right? The other one that was the actual short field goal, that's a touchdown. So then you would have had 3 touchdowns, and then you make those field goals. Now I get the win, but like, it was right there to be in the 20s, pushing 30 of points for Miami without much alteration. Now, I'm not going to say that all of the points we didn't score are 100% like missed opportunity, but like, the opportunity to score those points was there. But credit to Texas A&M, best team that we played so far this year, an incredible defense, especially on third down. They were taking our lunch. My God. And Shannon Dawson even said, look, at halftime, he had to change his mentality and say, I can't just try to beat them on third down. I have to be more efficient on second down to make it third and manageable. And as I look at the stats that I always leave up through these shows, if I look, so boom, we went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 0 for our first 6, and then 3 for the next 6 on third down. So yeah, you get 1 conversion in the second quarter, and then 2 in the second half. So it wasn't many, but you see the paradigm shifting of let's try to do things on second down that give us a chance more on third and short medium as opposed to medium long. Like, it's very different 3rd and 5 to 3rd and 9 versus 3rd and 1 to 3rd and 4. But yeah, now this was definitely a game that Miami normally loses. I mean, and like, I don't have the tweet in front of me. I should have looked at. Actually, I'm going to do bad podcasting. Excuse me. I'm going to see if I can find this tweet about the futility of Miami scoring points versus winning games. From Tim Reynolds of the Associated Press, before the A&M game, Miami was 3-73-2 all time when scoring 10 or fewer points against ranked opponents. 3 wins, 73 losses, and 2 ties back when we could have ties. In those games, 1 win and 33 losses on the road, and 5-83 in the last 88 games when scoring 10 or fewer points. Dog, this is a game that Miami loses. But we didn't. And it feels great.
Yeah, so just to know what's running through my mind, a number of things. I wish I had my notes from the game because there were 2 open field tackles that were made. One,
Keontae Scott.
Xavier Lucas made one. Keontae Scott
on the sideline, yeah.
That, I don't like to let those unsung heroes go because, that gets lost in just looking at rushing yardage and Mark Fletcher and Malachi Toney and those sorts of things. But Xavier Lucas had one, and I wish I could remember. There was one besides Keontae Scott where I just marked down, hey, that's a huge play that's just going to get, was noted by the broadcaster at the time. Okay, that was a really nice open field tackle, something that they might have broken loose.
Was it against Marcel Reed or against a receiver?
Yeah. When you go on one of your long spiels, I'm going to go searching for my notes. They might be downstairs.
Yeah, no, I'm trying to think, because Ethan O'Connor had a PBU. I know Xavier Lucas had that tackle. I know Keontae Scott in space. I'm pretty sure it was him both times, but
and I know I'm speaking to people.
Tyson Tracy, Marquise Lightfoot.
Yes.
Thank you. There you're right.
Exactly.
Right.
Yep. And I know I'm speaking to a locked-in crowd that watched the game as fervently as I did. Well, more fervently. I was on each play, but with no real rooting interest, except I wanted to get my pick right.
Yeah.
But, you know, in terms of a national landscape and people that just watch and just, you know, casually, you know, I try to point out, you know, players that came through in situations or made plays that kind of get brushed over by most to say, hey, look at this, look at this, look at that. And those are some of the open field tackles that I noted. Yeah.
No, very true. And just shout out to all those guys, you know, and just everybody really, they were dialed in, man. Like you just, you know, you put it on the back of the defense and say, look, you got to go win the game, basically. Offense was struggling. You know, it was a tough day. And especially, like I said, you know, when I went on the Ohio State show before here, Miami only had 47 or 48 actual offensive plays. The last play was a kneel down, obviously. And I think there was maybe one. So like 47 true offensive plays. That's so few. It's the fewest of the year by far, you know. And like I was someone who definitely was clamoring for more Mark Fletcher even earlier in the game. Especially, and like it wasn't on my radar. So shout out to everybody who hit me with this. And I think it was PFF who brought it to the forefront. A&M was 119th out of 134 defending runs between the tackles. Like, and you know, I know that we've kind of derided Shannon Dawson for A gap for life, A gap everything, but like that was the game plan. Like that was what worked. And if you look at Mark Fletcher's first 3 carries of the game, this is not the running total, although it works as such. These are the individual runs. First run, 7 yards. Second run, 10 yards. Third run, 17 yards. Again, I'm not doing a running total. That's each individual run, the yardage that was gained. So I don't know if it's a Fibonacci thing where you take the 2 and add, and then it keeps going. Hey, give him the ball again. It would have been 27. Give him the ball, then it would have been 44. Like, I mean, bro, it was right there from jump. And that's why I was like, I get you want to have that diversity to like not get into a rut of doing the same thing, but also run it till they stop it, bro. You know what I mean? Like, I know it's a different sport, but you get the same idea. In the NBA, hot hand. We're going to run that same play until they stop it. When I worked at Miramar, there was a post player. I forget his name. And there was a first-round playoff game against North Miami. And they ran this play called loop that ended with a cross screen for the big, coming to the left block, post entry, either a bucket or a foul. And they ran that play for the entirety of the fourth quarter. Literally every possession. They're walking the ball up, you just see coach. Loop, 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 loop. Now there's other things. Somebody did hit a 3 on a backside on a skip pass, and you do like there's alterations. But until they stop it, run loop. Give it to Big Dre, and he's going to get a bucket or a foul. Dog, and it doesn't have to be exactly 34 blast. But keep running Mark Fletcher and not just it. And I wrote this in Good, Bad, and the Ugly. It felt as though Shannon Dawson implemented variety for the sake of variety, but not efficacy in the first portion of this game. We were pounding them. Again, first 3 carries of the game, 7, 10, 17. Dog, run it. But yeah, I mean, it ended up working out, but like that was a little bit of a frustration.
Absolutely. I also think, and this is not a shot at Shannon Dawson in particular, but that some offensive coordinators, because obviously they enjoy scheming, they enjoy being a guru, and they arrived at this position, one of the best in the nation, for a reason that they want to show off their talents. Now, I'm not thinking consciously they're saying I'm trying to show off, but you know, they want to show what they can do and scheme and just running, a gap over and over doesn't really do that. But the objective is obviously to move the ball and score points and win the game.
Right. But I also think if we would have stuck to the power pound them run game early, that would have opened up some of the wrinkles and variety later. I thought that we went away from what was working too soon. It was just it put the fear of it in their head, but not to the point where A&M was altering what they were doing. But if you keep running it like that, they're going to have to change what they're doing, which then would have opened up some things for Malachi Tony, some things for CJ Daniels, some things for JoJo Trader, some things for Elijah Lofton, maybe even some counter or outside runs or pin and pull for Gerard Pringle, who only had one carry. And I get it, but there's only 47 snaps, and Mark Fletcher is killing. And on a ratio standpoint, where's my calculator? If we think about it, 17 divided by 47. Mark Fletcher got the ball on 36.2% of the plays. So ratio-wise, awesome. I just felt it could have had even more impact earlier. And I know that I'm picking nits, but we're at that point where nitpicking is really essential. You know what I mean? This is not just, a thing where, it's a preseason classic. It's the first practice of the fall, No, we are on a path and in a place to compete for championships. So these minor details, these nitpicking things matter. You know what I mean? But again, shout out or credit to Texas A&M's defense. They were, the best defense that we played by far, the best overall team that we played by far, and their, effort, success, and impact had negative, outcomes for Miami's offense. So credit to them as well. It wasn't just Miami. It was also, but if we would have stuck with the run game, we could have been more successful, but whatever.
Better than Notre Dame?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
Notre Dame very good. Notre Dame very, very good. But that was one literal broken coverage away from a 3-4 touchdown win for Miami against Notre Dame. I know the end score was only 3 points, but you're up 21-7. You get a stop right there. Well, but then you blow a coverage. You don't do your low red zone cover, scramble drill things. That was the one play of the year where Ahmad Moten was really abused for a lack of change of direction when he had CJ Carr dead to rights on that third down that ended up as a touchdown. But CJ Carr has that change of direction for some change. And then, Ahmad Moten does. And that's okay. Ahmad Moten isn't a wiggly player like that. But if you kind of break down and continue to force him to his right, because the concepts they ran were all players going from offensive right to offensive left. So when he starts to roll out to his right, he's rolling out into no man's land with nobody to throw the ball to. If you break down and force him that way, you know what I mean? But I think that was, I know what the end score was. That was really closer to a blowout against Notre Dame than it was a 3-point game. And I would say, no, even though it's the margin's probably thin, best team and best defense we played, A&M. Yes, absolutely.
And you're also taking it from the perspective, this was Miami's performance against Texas A&M and Texas A&M's performance against Miami versus Notre Dame versus, I'm taking it more from the entire season and everything involved, because, you could take Louisville and Miami and say, is Louisville better than Miami? Well, no, but they beat them. So on that night, they were better. So I'm taking it more. I do think Notre Dame's slightly better. I just think they're more prolific on offense. They have more things going on. And I think CJ Carr, obviously that was his first start ever. He got better. Anyway, it's very close. They're two of the 10 to 15 best teams in the country. Speaking of Notre Dame and Texas A&M. So, yeah. Plus having to play there, obviously, at Texas A&M. All right. We do have some super chats here.
Falconer.
There he is. Geared up. Here we go. Falconer coming back with this one. Going to take more than 47 snaps to beat Ohio State. Yeah, if they get 65, let's say, then Fletcher probably gets more like 25 carries based on that ratio of 36%.
I think with more plays, then you can have Marty Brown get some carries, Gerard Pringle get some carries, some things like that. The only exception would be if it were analogous to, I don't even know, but like in one of the HBCU games where all of a sudden we're averaging 15 yards a carry and we have 5 nuclear explosive touchdowns or something, like that would be the 1 in 8 trillion example of a game with 47 snaps. We're like, okay, yeah, we're like, because we've scored 6 touchdowns. It's like, how in the, something that's just like completely nonsensical that I don't think is going to happen. I'm just saying it would take one of those supreme outlier performances for that low number of snaps to lead to a Miami victory in this game. But yeah, you're going to need more of that. You're going to need more conversions on third down. You're going to just need to be, more efficient and intermittently explosive. But there were some explosives there, in the run game and everything. We took a shot to JoJo Trader. They got yeeted by the wind. But to Shannon Dawson's point from yesterday's presser, A&M hit theirs, and it was a blown coverage, but they hit their vertical shot, their one. Miami took one and missed it. Actually, they kind of took 2 because the trick play to Malachi Toney where he threw it to CJ Daniels was a touchdown. But if you go back, and I did go back and watch it, that was another ball that just got yeeted by the wind. He was like, made the right read, made everything like cool. And then that ball just went shunk. Like it was like crazy. And to the point that I just want to address also, everybody talking about Carson Beck was wide open for a throw. Wide open on the backside for a throwback. You have to actually scheme for the throwback, which we did for a touchdown throw to him this year. But on the play as it was run, because you can have wrinkles on all these plays. First of all, the backside was not set up to withstand that kind of rush to give Malachi Toney time to stop and throw it back like he did on the first touchdown to Beck. And also, as well, in addition, the protection that was set up on that play also got beaten by Texas A&M's rush. So it wasn't set up for that, and what it was set up for didn't really hold up anyways. So yes, he was open over there, and like he has gone to Malachi a couple times, Carson Beck that is, and said, hey man, if you want to throw it over on the backside, I'm wide open, just letting you know. But like there was no actual way to make that throw in that play in the moment of the game as the play actually went forward. So I just want to throw that out there because I know that everybody was talking about that.
And we got help me out with this one. Pete Palo too.
Yeah.
The 2023 class laid the foundation for this team. The 24 class showed the potential. This year's class solidified Mario's vision when he got here.
Yes, I'm actually writing a piece very similar to this for stateoftheu.com, which should be up. I got to go hang out with my niece and my nephew later. So maybe up tomorrow if I don't get it done today. But no, this is very, very true. I watched the cinematic highlights just a minute ago, and there's a moment in there before the final A&M offensive play, when they're in the injury timeout for Mo Toure. It's Francis Maui-Noa talking to Ruben Bain. I'm getting goosebumps even describing it. Talking to Ruben Bain and saying, this is everything that we've worked for since we came here. Every run, every practice, every lift, everything. Give everything you got. Put it on the line. I love you. I'm about to start crying again, dog. Like, it should mean something, dog. And like, for those 2 5-stars, I know Ruben Bain wasn't given a 5-star when it was stupid. He absolutely should have been. Whatever. But for those 2 elite recruits to pick Miami when they did, coming off of 5-7, and investing their livelihood, their careers to this university, and to stick together and be the foundation blocks upon which this roster was built, and to see them 2 dudes specifically, an offensive lineman talking to a defensive, this is why we came here, dog. I love you, bro. Go do this. I swear to God, I'm gonna start crying. It means the world. And I cannot overstate what that class and all those dudes, right? But specifically those two dudes mean this program. And then you add on other guys, and with the sophomore class. So that's your Justin Scotts of the world, your Armando Blunts of the world, your JoJo Traders of the world. I know that he didn't have any catches, but like the wide receivers did incredible blocking. Smitty, save that video. You should have. And if you haven't seen it, go on stateoftheu.com. I put it in the feed, or go to the Miami Hurricanes YouTube account. It, like, literally, you see how emotional I am. I did start crying when I first saw it. And I will, that I will give my opinion, and I will also admit when I'm wrong. I was very vocal after signing day of 2025, saying that I was very disappointed, that I thought that it was not good enough, the class, because of the misses. Your Dallas Wilsons, I know Ben Hanks is a Florida legacy. He went to Booker T. Don't care. I know Verno Brown was a UF legacy. Don't care. DJ Pickett is a triple Miami legacy. He goes to LSU. We missed on a bunch of guys. And I was very vocal about that. And I had multiple people who work at the Miami program in various departments say, you missed it on this one, dog. Said, I love Malachi Tony. I think you missed it on this one, dog. I said, we'll see. I missed it on Bryce Fitzgerald. I thought he was just a guy plus. You can pull up the recruiting notebook on that. I thought maybe but I'm also a huge Dylan Day fan. So I thought Dylan Day was going to step up into that number 3 safety role this year. Bryce Fitzgerald got here late in May and said, let me take that. Or not even give me that. Right. And you can see the ball we heard through the through the summer. Because he didn't, Christopher Columbus is a high school that does not allow early enrolling, such as St. Thomas Aquinas. So he didn't get here until going into the summer. But even in summer workouts, everybody was saying, dog, the ball always finds Bryce Fitzgerald. True freshman. I'm like, I think they're maybe trying to hype it up. My name is Cam Underwood, and I was wrong about the 25 class kind of in total, and Bryce Fitzgerald specifically, and a couple other players. But yeah, when you put all of those together, you see the vision come to fruition of toughness and strength in the trenches, star players at multiple positions, and also growth and development. Like, it is going to take time. Everybody's not going to be Malachi Tony. There's players in this class whose best football is in front of them. I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday. Dog, I know that we're looking at bringing in, a bunch of different guys. I would love that defensive end from Penn State who left to come on down. Miami is, in the hunt for a 5-star defensive end in the class of 2027. Cool. You know who else is on this roster who's not playing because, he got injured and tore his knee up in fall camp? Hayden Lowe, a top 20 player in last year's class, 6'5", 250 D end. He hasn't played a single snap, but he has to come back from his injury, but growth and development, he can be a star in the future potentially from that same class that I said didn't meet the standard. So yeah, I let you know my opinion at the time. We've seen what it is. Early results, I was wrong in the class, and I underestimated Bryce Fitzgerald. I thought he was just a guy plus. He's not just a guy, he's a star.
Two of your favorite brands coming together here, the voice of college football and Miami, of course, vocfb.com. We've got quality merch there for you, hats and mugs and all sorts of good stuff. We will display them on the screen. I will not go further, but again, vocfb.com. You will not be disappointed with the merch. And if by some strange chance you are, contact me directly. We will make it right. But all we have received positive feedback about all our merch. We've got 20 or 25 teams represented, including Miami, vocfb.com. So please check it out. All right, Cam. Let's pick off these super chats, and then we'll open it up for the next game here. Falconer Act. What do we know about the turf at AT&T Stadium?
The turf at AT&T Stadium is artificial. I have actually stood on that turf. I went to the opener against LSU in 2018, where I got to hang out on the field with my college roommate, who was there with his job and everything. He works in spirits, alcohol sales. marketing and everything. So he was there with his former employer, and he was also in the band. So he was kind of between those two things. And I get a call as I'm standing on the field, and I'm like, who is calling me? And I was like, yo, Joe, what's going on? And so like he was on the opposite corner of the field. He's just like, yo, why don't you walk over here? And I was like, oh my God. So yeah, I've actually it's not grass, but I've touched that turf and everything. But it is what it is. I think that we're going to be excited to play there. It's a wonderful, wonderful stadium. It's late. It's actually after sunset, so you do not have the sun coming through the west side window issue that they have there at AT&T Stadium. It's incredible. If you're going to the game, go early and take the stadium tour. Best stadium tour I've ever had. It was right before it opened fully. When I went out there, my mother used to live outside in the Dallas area, and it was actually when Jerry Jones was doing his press run for like the debut of the stadium. So they laid 30 yards worth of turf just so he could stand on it, and it looked like a field. And then as we went on the tour, you saw he was in a field suite, then he was in the box right here, and then he was in the upper deck. So like as we went on the tour, it was just like, where's Waldo popping up with Jerry Jones and like this whole crew. It was really, really cool. But beyond that, it's a wonderful stadium and everything. So yeah, I'm sure that they take care of their turf situation very well. Yeah, and I can't wait to play on it.
Is that where the LSU game was played?
Yeah, that was when I was there, 2018.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm counting up and coming out with Ohio State's very familiar with that field 5 times, like in the last 10 years that they've played there.
Okay.
Yeah, a bunch of Cotton Bowls, playoff games, national championship game, etc. All right, we got Falconer. No, I'm sorry. I just assumed. I shouldn't do that. Rayshard Smith, appreciate you being here, man. Thank you for that. Where does the 23 class rank with the 83 and 98 classes?
Behind them, off the top of the dome. 83, that was the foundation of the U. 98 was the foundation for the 01 team, just off the top of the dome. Again, I will have to do a little bit of research because I was a Michigan fan then. That was, back when I was I was an infant in 83 and I was in high school rooting for Big Blue in 98. So I will have to do a little bit more research, but I know generally, but I would say the 23 class at this point would have to be third, if only for the fact that those two other recruiting classes won championships. So unless or until the 23 class wins a championship, I think definitionally they have to be third. But that's my quick knee-jerk reaction. But a very good question. And actually, like I like to do, because I'm old school millennial and I have paper right here. I'm going to write this down for future eval. 23 class versus 83 versus 98 Canes. So I've written that down on some paper I have here on my desk. I will research that and maybe circle back to it in the off season. But yeah, top of the dome, 83, 98, 23 behind because we haven't won a championship.
Those are great off-season topics and questions, certainly. So hold those for the off-season. You guys are all hoping that this is another 3 games for Miami. And I got to tell you, Cam, I got to reset my brain here because I'm just in this mode of this game's coming up. This is our show. And I'm looking at the clock thinking, we got to preview this game. Why aren't we talking X's and O's? We will have one more show. We will do our best to get in another show to make it a full-blown Miami, Ohio State preview, nuts and bolts, breakdown, X's and O's. Not that we can't do a little bit of that right now, but I can relax because for the last 5 or 10 minutes, I've been thinking we need to get in some breakdown here.
Yeah, no, I've been, conscious of that as well and able to extend out because we're going to have a full show dedicated on X's and O's preview, which, hey, we're already starting some of that stuff on stateoftheu.com. So please come over and fan with us. I think we already have, Justin DeTavio is doing the film forecast in 2 parts. He did it in 2 parts for A&M. So the first part for the Cotton Bowl is already written and scheduled for this week. I believe it comes out on Thursday. or Friday, might be the day after. But whatever. I know it's already written and scheduled, so he's already started crafting the second part of that and everything. We already have some other things I'm cooking on, and other people as well. So yeah, we're gonna have a bunch of that stuff, and then also come back with a full look ahead dedicated to the game episode here.
Folks, this is how special this collaboration is, folks. Not just because Cam knows all of college football, but specifically Miami. And I give my initial perspective. Obviously, most of the analysis, 80, 90% comes from Cam, and I chime in with my perspective. But keep this in mind. Yes, full disclosure, I'm an Ohio State fan. Cam is a Michigan fan from his childhood and so forth. And now the transition to Miami, obviously, as a student and graduate and media person covering Miami football for a long, long time in Miami athletics. And obviously we know what happened 22 or 3 years ago. And we still collaborate for almost 500 shows and make it work and keep smiles on our faces. But we know where our rooting interests are. And one other thing I will add is that I was capable for a long, long time. I've had this channel, not maybe this specific channel, maybe about 5 or 6 years with this one. I've lost track, probably longer than that. But this conglomeration of channels for now 12 years. And for most of that time, I did not disclose who I rooted for. And people didn't know. Now, I'm not saying I'm not biased and my bias doesn't come through, because it does. I'm human. Yes, my bias comes through. And who do I think is the greatest football program in history? Yes, I do. But that is a biased take. It's arguable. It can be. So I'm just flatly stating, just for transparency, I do my best to be unbiased in all these shows. But obviously, there's a conflict of interest here that Cam and I work around on a regular basis and do it very well. So it's kind of astonishing that we can have a partnership and a friendship considering those football ties.
Yeah, no, I figured out before you said it on the show, and I was just like, I'm not going to blow your spot up, but yeah, no, it is what it is and everything. So yeah, we just continue to do that and focus on the football. And like, yeah, I mean, hey, we're on opposite sides, but again, from the Miami side this year, this was the goal, because to get here means that we beat the team that we played. So like, I mean, not necessarily the goal coming into the season, but when the bracket was set, it was like, well, the goal is that. And just even if you like dream with me, not dream, but like hypothesize with me. You go on the road to A&M, right, who you played twice recently. Then you play Ohio State, an eternal nemesis. You beat them. Then you likely play Georgia, who's like, a nemesis from recruiting and like and if you beat them, then you're playing for the first championship in a quarter century. Like, the storylines for this Miami run are ripe. I mean, but also you got to accomplish and achieve to get there. But the first step was, okay, have this, and everything. And yeah, it will be, Yeah,
I'll say it this way. For any fan base, and we'll obviously focus on Miami, winning a national championship, that is the goal. That is it. And if the run included Wisconsin and Kansas State and UCLA or whoever, and it was just kind of like, oh, the opponent's just the opponent, that would still be, we're the national champions, and those games were mammoth and it's everything. But yeah, everyone has their kind of like, in a perfect world, would love to pick them off because of this, either because they're at the top of the mountain and I've hated them forever, or because of a particular situation or game in the past. Right. Yes, we all would have our menu that we would be just the ultimate. Absolutely.
Yeah, no, true. And for Miami, it's setting. I mean, it's there to potentially go through. I mean, like, you can't script it. It's like a movie, kind of a thing. Like, you go to Kyle Field, one of the toughest places to play, you beat them, and then like, this team, and then if you beat them, then like this team, and then like, and that was the last thing I was gonna say. If you get through all of that and get to the national championship game, you play at home in the Hard Rock Stadium. Like, every level, like it's a movie script, but games are not played, hypothetically, Notre Dame. Games are played on the field, and you have to go win those to have that come to fruition. But the potential for the movie scenario is there.
If we conclude the movie, I'm going to throw Texas Tech to the side, not out of disrespect, but I don't see any connection there. But the others would be Indiana, which would just be the Cinderella story of Cinderella stories that great percentage of the nation would just be rooting for them, just even if they didn't even know who played quarterback for them, would just be like, this is crazy, because this statistically, folks, I keep a spreadsheet with all the all-time numbers and I update them every year. Indiana is one of the 5 worst programs in the history of college football. They've just done nothing. Kurt Cignetti's been so successful that actually they showed a stat on CBS Sports a couple of weeks ago where they had the worst winning percentage of all time. And just because he's like 22-2 or whatever he is, they've gone up like 3 spots. They've gone from like 40% to like 42%.
That's
they have just been horrific. Haven't won a bowl game since 1993, any bowl game. Okay. Or Alabama, which gold standard, you're marching through 3 gold standards: Ohio State, Georgia, Alabama, and Alabama, obviously, largely because of Nick Saban, recently the best program in the country over the last 15 to 20 years. Or Oregon, the Mario Cristobal.
Where I work now versus where I used to work at. Yeah. I mean, there's options. And then, I mean, like, you extend that out against Indiana. Fernando Mendoza, Columbus alum, wanted to come to Miami, told him he's not necessarily good enough, was going to go to Yale. Then he goes to Cal because he's really smart. Then he goes and wins the Heisman, which, I mean, I think is watered down because his statistics weren't really great, but his impact was incredible. But now he would come home to play against the hometown team. And like, so you could write that story, and it would be, yeah.
Sorry, Charles. I was off by 2 games. Just, had I thought about it, yes, 22-2, 24-2. Yes.
Yeah.
What that guy's done. I am a amateur historian. I will not call myself a professional historian of college football, but I've got a pretty good sense of what's happened through the years, and to have like scores memorized for like 50 years. I cannot think of anyone who has done that to that degree. It's crazy. But anyway, back to the games.
You definitely know your stuff, man. Like, you'll pull out like game scores from 1987 sometimes. Like, and he's done it live on the show, bro. Like, I know that I know some history, but like, I would even deflect to it's just like my boy Joe, who I met at the game, in 2018. Also a music major, has a music business degree. He knows the most about rock music of anybody I've ever met in my life. I've known this man since 2000. Every time that we link up, I learn something new about the history of rock and roll, or like, scheme structures, theory, construction. Like, I'm always learning stuff about rock music from Joe because he's like above top tier. And like, I'm an incredible musician. I know so much music, like from inside out, and I'm in awe of his level of knowledge on that. And like, sometimes when Mark like whips out these scores, like, Indiana, Purdue in 1994 was I'm like, I'm in that same kind of awe. So like, no, give yourself credit, bro. Like, you're way up there.
I appreciate it. Where do we head with this? Steve Hellwagon made a comment to you when you first jumped on about Carson Beck, and he said it in a different way, but I think I said it in the video that I posted right after the game. He was almost transparent, and that's not a criticism. It was just the way the game laid out and what he needed to do. Now, you did a nice job of countering that with the quarterback position, not just being a throwing position. There are so many other responsibilities that he obviously stepped up, showed his leadership and his knowledge of the offense in the game in making a difference. 14 of 20. I don't remember the yardage total, around
103.
Okay.
I believe it
but obviously more is going to be expected of him, you would think, or the game's going really well. How have you rated his performance throughout this season? He's got the 10 interceptions. We saw a very contrasting 2 quarterback styles in this game against Texas A&M. we're going to see two quarterbacks in this game that are more similar in regards to just their approach to the game, reading defenses, being on point and making the right decisions and delivering on target.
Yeah. So 8 of Beck's 10 interceptions came in 3 games. He had 2 against USF. One was like a YOLO ball, and the guy made a great play. Obviously, the 4 against Louisville, and then 2 against SMU, which really weren't his fault. Like, one was a drop ball into an interception, and the other one, JoJo Trader got tackled and dry humped in the end zone, and they didn't call it, and then he had to force the ball to Malachi, and it got picked off. But 8 of the 10 in 3 games. So that is the concern of if and when the interceptions come, they've come in bunches. So that's the issue. He set a Miami Hurricanes record with 75% completions across the season. More than 3,000 yards passing, and really a strong operator in the progression-based passing game. Took him a while to really feel comfortable with his arm coming off of elbow reconstruction, but as he's gotten more comfortable, especially the last 5 games before Texas A&M, because the numbers, the completion percentage was strong, but the yardage was not. But this last 6 weeks has really been some of the best quarterbacking that we've seen from him, and I think that that's just a testament to his skills. And he also, I know that it's not perfect, but he got Miami into a lot of the right plays. He made some edits and alterations, specifically one run that I talked about on the previous show. He saw what the A&M front was doing. He took C.J. Daniels, had him with the insert motion between Maui Noah and Ballman, the tight end, but a line kind of back in the wing, and said, come here, block here, and then that's going to spring Mark Fletcher. And it wasn't the 56-yarder. It was a 16-yarder in the second quarter. But you could see it. He came and said, what? Get that? Cool. But even that operation is elite quarterbacking. If I were to give him a grade for the season, I would probably say A-, just because the efficiency has been there. The explosion at times, but especially in the last 6 weeks, he's really been playing at a high level and got this team to college football playoff game, won that game, and again, set records for completion percentage. So he has taken care of the ball in large part because, again, 3 games, 8 interceptions of the 10. But he's run the ball a couple times on zone reads when I think he needed to keep it, just to make sure the defense just doesn't only crash down on the running back, because it's there for the pull. So, there's been a lot of very strong play. There's been a lot of great operational play from him. Yes, there was a delay of game that we took because the play clock got low, but Shannon Dawson even said that's on me because Dawson called for a freeze or a look with me. The hut, everybody turns to the sideline. But when you call for a freeze with 6 seconds left on the play clock, you're not going to call that third timeout in the first quarter. And I'm going to come back to the timeouts in a second. But, yeah, I think that Carson Beck has been exactly what I thought he was going to be, a top 10 quarterback in college football, a very strong operator, and made plays when plays are there to be made, mostly with his arms, a couple times with his legs. I said that the offense this whole year, I said it was going to be different than it was with Cam Ward, but still pretty damn good. Now, on total yardage, we were number 1 in America last year. Miami's 35th this year. That's okay. On yards per play, Miami's 28th in the country at 6.28 yards per play. That's exactly what I said. I said we're probably going to be top 35, maybe pushing the top 25, but in that range. This is sustainable. Now, I would like it to go up a couple. I would like to be closer to top 25, top 20 on both of those, as opposed to top 40. Sure, that's a nitpick. But I was very confident that with the defense not being the off-duty officer just waving everybody by, into the club as it was last year, that you can have an offense that's not number 1 in America, but still top 30 and still reach a level of success. And I think that Carson Beck has operated and brought us into that level of success. And so I give him credit for that.
They don't update national rankings during the playoffs, do they? They are
Not
locked down for the season. They should be.
well. I mean, I'm looking at CFBstats.com, which
No, I'm
is
not questioning you. I'm curious. That just popped into my head. They should
Mm,
update national rankings during the playoffs because obviously that's a detriment. It's not fair to the teams playing because you're playing the best teams in the
right.
country, and you're even if you win the games, you're obviously not going to be as prolific.
Well,
This
that's a
is
good
this
point.
is impressive, Cam.
Okay.
Pete Ipalo says here on Sunday and Monday, I watched highlights of the losses against FIU in 2019, Michigan State in 21, Middle Tennessee in 22. He went to the bottom of the barrel here. Cincinnati in 15, Clemson in 15, Louisville in 14, Virginia in 07 to appreciate this.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, it takes context to understand. Like, like sometimes you have to have sour to appreciate sweet. Sometimes you have to have crunchy to appreciate soft. And like, yeah, it's all these games. I mean, if you look back, Jaron Williams going out and partying before like the stain on my soul from losing to FIU will never go away. Michigan State, remember, that was Mel Tucker. We thought that they were punks. We're going to take them into the deep into the ocean and make them drown game. That was the game where on here I said I was done with Manny Diaz no matter what happened, right? And I know people talk, oh, well, Manny won an ACC before Miami did. Do you want that ACC championship or as a 7-5 team going in there? Or do you want this college football playoff win on the road at A&M? Me, myself personally, the win that we just got this weekend. That's what I would prefer because a 7-5 Manny Diaz, that's what we had, guys. This is better than that. I'm sorry. But Middle Tennessee with an all-time explosive passing game at the expense of Miami. Cincinnati in 15, I famously wrote 22 words for my recap from that one. I broke form. I literally, and I tweeted it out this week. I said, yeah, like this is where Clemson, the game 58-0, the worst loss we've ever had when the Miami Hurricanes, shout out to Leo Ramos, who's no longer with the University of Miami as the head of digital marketing and head of digital. They had the best graphics package for highlights and the score updates for social media and everything that I've ever seen. It was in the press box at Hard Rock Stadium before it got remodeled. It was me, Brian the Beast London, Chris Whittingham, and one other person who were in the secondary press box sitting the row behind Ramos and his squad. So there's 4 people who didn't work at the University of Miami who will ever see these graphics. They were incredible. Didn't get to use any of them because we got our doors blown off. The Louisville game, Virginia in 07 to close the Orange Bowl, where I sat there and watched every play of 48-0. Dog, this is where Miami's been. And I know that it's tough, but when you consider that a game with a little bit of substandard offense where you find a way to win, and I read you the stats that, Tim Reynolds found about Miami's futility when scoring 10 or fewer points, and you found a way to win that game? Oh, you got to love it, dog. You got to love it if you're a Miami Hurricanes fan. So, I mean, shout out to you. Oh, it's a different spelling, but it's like the rapper from North Carolina, Petey Pablo. My bad. But going back through those times, because we yelled and screamed and were mad and hurt and pissed off, and yet remember how you felt then to appreciate where we are now. And the job's not done and the work's not over, but even with this one playoff win, which we hadn't had, and a playoff appearance, which we hadn't had, remember from whence we have come, and it is a long way, my friends.
I never tried to tell anyone how to feel or what to appreciate in the sport. And obviously, we're in the midst of a changing sport when it comes to the meaning of conference championships and rivalries and all those things to more of a playoff-focused situation. So I'm not telling anyone to feel a certain way about whatever you cherish, but logistically, what Miami is doing is more important by far than what Duke accomplished. And they basically had a one-game accomplishment. They were basically put into a game, and to their credit, they won the game.
Good for them.
But they did not defeat one team in the ACC that had a winning record. Now, how you can have a system that elevates a team into a conference championship game in which they did not defeat one team I didn't double check this, but I heard this a number of places.
Wow.
That they did not defeat within the conference.
Yeah.
Looking at conference records, all of the teams that they defeated were 4-4 or less. So they did not defeat any winning teams in the ACC, were put in a champion. It's not their fault. I'm not blaming them. Put in the championship game, then they played a good game against Virginia, and they're the ACC champions. Well, yeah.
That I am flabbergasted by that. I'm trying to click around to their
You just
schedule.
have to have a better system than that. You just have to have a better system. So yes.
Okay, NC State was 4-4. Syracuse was terrible. Cal was 4-4. They lost to Georgia Tech, so they didn't beat them. Clemson was 4-4. So yeah, they beat a bunch of 500 teams or worse. I didn't even know it was that. Wow. Okay, but yeah, but I mean, like holistically, again, it's not this season with an ACC championship. It's a 7-5 regular season, finding your way, and then like that as an accomplishment and achievement, but then not making it to the playoffs. Like that is the comparison that we're making. 7-5 regular season, winning a kind of getting there flukily, winning that game though. Credit to them. But like that, or what we're seeing from the University of Miami. Me, myself personally, I'm taking the current state of affairs with the University of Miami.
Yeah, plus obviously there's a trajectory there with Miami. With Duke, it's just kind of like, well, what is this? This is pretty much what Duke is, 7-5 all the time. They just lucked their way into a championship. And again, all credit to them. I kind of enjoyed it just from the standpoint that I like sports oddities and strange things happening. So I kind of like okay, let's see if so-and-so can weasel their way into this or that just because it's strange. But yeah, the ACC needs to tighten that up for sure.
6-7, 8-3, 7-5, 9-4, 8-5. That's Manny Diaz's career record. So no fewer than 3 losses in any given season. And the 8-3 was the 2020 COVID season. Like, again, I wish him well. I'm not trying to harp on it, but like, dog, come on, man. But hey, yeah. All right. Let's hit some of these other ones. Eddie Delva. Cam, I'm a bit nervous. How do we slay this Ohio Dragon? Excellence, speed, violence, enthusiasm, elite performance, maybe a bit of luck, which I think that both teams will need. But we're going to have to definitely play a complete game with no or minimal kind of errors. That's my general takeaways. We'll get the granular on that the next time that Mark and I pull up for a show. But like, yeah, you know, I mean, this is kind of my 40,000 foot view of it. I don't think that's. I mean, does that sound crazy, Mark? I mean, that's just kind of
not at all.
Whatever. Okay.
I think Ohio State's probably the best team in the country, but you hear that I'm not speaking that with much conviction.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're one of the. I'm certain they're one of the 3 or 4 best. But
Fair.
You know, we're getting to a point where if Miami's the 6th best, okay, then anything can happen in that particular game. Do I expect I'm trying to take my fandom out of it. Do I expect Ohio State to win the game? Yes.
Okay.
Am I going to be surprised if they don't? No, I will not be surprised. I will not be surprised. They have deficiencies that, okay, this is a great, and Cam lined up on the previous show, the Ohio State show. This is an abundantly talented team, and really they haven't had one of those that's not for over 20 years. They're stacked. They did have issues running the football as of about 4 to 5 games ago. That they got it into gear, they got it going. They found Bo Jackson and their offensive line. Every position unit on that team is elite except offensive line. The offensive line's good. It's better than average. But where can Miami take advantage of a position unit that's not elite? The offensive line. And if they can't pass protect and they rely a little too much on the one running back, Bo Jackson, after that, there's a lot less confidence in his backups. Isaiah West, tremendous 5-star recruit, but he's just a freshman, as is Bo Jackson, just a true freshman. CJ Donaldson's like a workman-like transfer from West Virginia, really good. He's like second or third in the nation in like career touchdowns right now, but he's just a workman-like back. He's not going to scare anyone. He's the 3rd-and-1 guy. Miami's fierce. Is he really? Miami's fierceness on defense and just the standout guys like Keontae Scott. I knew he was a great player, and he's impressed me before. But to watch him against Texas A&M, the explosiveness. This is going to be a hell of a game to just watch freakish athletes all over the place.
Yeah,
and you can never, if Miami can punch them in the mouth first. I will liken it to the game 23 years ago, and we don't want to go down that path today, even if we do at all. I will liken it in this way. I think Ohio State kind of punched Miami in the mouth, not from a scoring standpoint, like it was 21-0, but that Ohio State team was really good. And I think they get undercredited. If you look at both sides of the ball, I looked at this, not technically, but in my Rolodex upstairs, only the running back, Maurice Claret, and the fullback did not play in the NFL. So I think they get pigeonholed as this just kind of scrappy team that, pulled this out. No, I'm not comparing their talent to Miami's in 2002 by any stretch. I'm not doing that. But they were an NFL team as well. And I think
it wasn't 2010 Auburn, which was Cam Newton and a bunch of, insurance guys. I get it.
And when I say punch in the mouth, I'm not saying like it was 21-0 because it obviously wasn't. But I think physically they just played in a tougher conference, played really physical football. And I think they came at Miami, and Miami was so good. They had very few games where, okay, this team's almost as talented as we are, decided gap, but they're NFL players too, and they're really ferocious. Now, I think Miami could be that version this time against a team that's a little bit better, but that can be made up for with focus and determination and ferocity. And that's what I see Miami doing on defense. I see a ferocious defense. I see guys that just, run like their hair's on fire and hit. That Muhammad Toure play at the goal line, I hope that doesn't get, I know Miami fans appreciate it, but again, I think that's another thing that gets devalued by most college football fans that just watch the game, but, we're zoned out every other play. That, he saved overtime. He may have saved the game. And that was just, I'm not letting this happen. And I will run 100 miles an hour in a split second
through a brick wall
and give my body up to do that.
Yeah, definitely not targeting. I just want to say it again, but that was quick read. I know that there's space to my right. I'm running through whoever is there to dislodge the ball, putting my body on the line, and everything, and did that, which was just and it was like, I don't even know the sound I made at that play, but that was one of the most violent hits. It was clean. It was not head, crown or anything. That was shoulder to the midsection. But like it was, I said it when I was on the other show previously, that was two cars going 90 miles an hour playing chicken, and nobody swerved and nobody broke, and it just bang. Like if you've never seen, hopefully you've never been in an accident, but if you've never seen an accident, a car accident on the road, even if they're not going fast. When I worked at Starbucks, my store was on a major intersection corner here in Fort Lauderdale, and somebody ran a red and I saw the head-on collision in the middle of the intersection. They weren't even going that fast. The sound, you don't understand. Like if you're a pedestrian and you hear a horn from a car, it's louder than you think. That was all of that wrapped up in one. It was, I mean, it was violent. It was a crazy play. I'm glad the Toure is okay. I'm glad the receiver, the running back that was hit, seems to be okay as well. But that was everything that we preach on defense. Enthusiasm, speed, swarm to the ball, and violence, just all wrapped up into one. An incredible play. And then on the subsequent play, which ended in the interception, shout out to Chase Smith, who jumped 47 feet in the air, and he was the one who made Marcel Reed have to. He couldn't just drill it into the to the receiver, because there was a window if Chase Smith wasn't there and didn't jump 12 feet in the air, but he was, and he did, and so then so all the pieces matter and fit together. But yeah, no, that was violent physical defense. We're going to have that kind of performance, maybe not to that extreme, but maybe to that extreme, in the Cotton Bowl, to be able to, earn and deserve victory.
Good point about Chase Smith. I did see that on replays, and I was a little hard on Marcel Reed. Behind the receiver, it's late, it's high, it's this, it's that. But yeah, he was kind of forced into that throw. Two other quick psychology angles to this: one pro Ohio State, one pro Miami. Would be that Miami, when you are the better team every week, you could say this about both teams. But on the Miami side, you can get lulled into, and to Miami's credit, they kicked it into gear after they lost the second game and mashed teams that they should mash. And they've stepped on the field with two comparably talented teams, and they rose to the occasion. They won the game. Notre Dame, Texas A&M, obviously, and to a lesser degree, Florida. They're very talented. But those two games in particular in primetime. The Ohio State psychological possible advantage, I'm just conjecturing, we don't know what runs through people's veins and through their minds, is that they lost the Big Ten championship game, and any level of arrogance that might have been there, it's only human. They haven't lost a game in forever. They're the defending champions. They're 12-0. They're number one, all that stuff. It kind of got knocked out of them last year versus Michigan, and then they kicked it in and became a different team and played to their potential. And it remains to be seen if the same thing happens this year.
No, fair and true points, both. Yeah, I'm so happy that we won and get to continue the journey of this season. That's not a terminal thought. So I'm not saying, I don't care if we win. We're just happy to be here. No. I'm happy for the achievement and accomplishment. And we're moving forward to the, so don't get out here just saying, hey, it's okay. No. Now, I was on record saying this on here, and I want to say it again: win or lose in the Cotton Bowl, this is a successful season for Miami that should be, evaluated as such and appreciated as such. And now, so whatever. I'm not even going to put out the, negative result that could happen for Miami, because people say, you put it in the air. And people have already been talking about Miami not winning this game, guys. Don't put that on me just because, I appreciate y'all listening to what I say, but come on, dog. Yeah, we want Miami to win, but also realize and recognize there is a possibility that, that could not happen. But just whatever. But this is a successful season. Definitely what we were looking for, in part, but hopefully it will continue after New Year's Eve into the early part of 2026 as well. But we'll see.
There's a comment in the chat concerning rust versus momentum and being in rhythm, i.e. Ohio State hasn't played since the Big Ten championship game. They've got time off, but they can rest up. They can study. Obviously we're locked in on, okay, we're going to game plan for Texas A&M and Miami for a period of time, and then they can focus on Miami, obviously, versus Miami being in rhythm or getting a little knocked out, banged up a little bit, physical game. And I heard Mario Cristobal's news conference from yesterday or the day before, and he threw it out as, it's a great question. None of us have ever figured that out. If you could, you would put that, in a bottle and sell it for $1 million, because we can cite all sorts of examples on both sides, and who knows which helps. It just depends on who is able to better prepare their athletes to be at prime condition and peak performance at the right time.
Yeah. And it's tough. And we definitely, talked about that with Cristobal when he first got here about losing after bye weeks. We talked about it with Manny Diaz and everything. But it's one of those kind of things that feels like a self-fulfilling prophecy, which like whichever way you look at it, you can see the result from the game. And then like it confirms what you thought, kind of a thing. But, it's still a week and a half, you know what I mean, from last game till next game. So it's not even like it's a every week normal season operation kind of a thing for Miami. So you get a couple extra days in there. So like, does that alter things? Because like what you would do on a Thursday is Christmas Day, because it would be a Thursday before a Saturday game, but like the game's not till Wednesday. So then like you have the, you know what I mean? So that changes the operations anyway. So yeah, I mean, there's a measure of both, but regardless of that kind of narrative kind of a thing, players got to go on the field on New Year's Eve night and make plays, come hell or high water. So, we like you and I, we can talk about the mentality and but like, hey, these elite athletes got to go be elite athletes and have elite performance, or not. But that's what's up.
We appreciate y'all being here at the Voice of College Football. And this is the reason you subscribe and hit the bell for the notifications. Of course, we've got a holiday schedule that we're trying to work through, and therefore we're going to get in a show before kickoff and hope to do that next Monday or Tuesday, probably. Therefore, we don't know at this point when that's going to be. So please, again, subscribe and hit the bell for the notifications so you are going to be notified when we go live.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, okay. So I'm going to speed runs through some of these comments like I've done the last couple of weeks. So, I mean, if you want to stick around and add your thoughts on that, you're more than welcome to. If not, then, I will bid you adieu and a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to you and your family, and we will catch up early next week. But the decision is yours.
Merry Christmas, Cam. I'm going to run because I got so much to get done, but I appreciate you hanging around to answer the question. So Merry Christmas, everyone. Happy holidays, whatever your mode of the holiday season. Appreciate all of you. Cam, thanks so much. And we will see you next week.
All right, man. Cool. Thanks. All right. So I already hit one. We're going to get a couple others. Daniel Henry, JJ, we got something for him on the 31st. I mean, like, I know Jeremiah Smith said what he said and everything, but like he was a literal instant away from coming to the University of Miami. The reason that he did not sign immediately on the time of signing day to go to OSU was at the behest of the University of Miami Hurricanes. Like, we asked him not to sign then and like reconsider, and he did. Like, and so like the revisionist history is a little ridiculous, but it is what it is. Tyson Tracy, Dawson forced a lot of the trick formation instead of setting it up and got to get the look and opportunities needed for him to work. I agree with that, which is what I was saying earlier. We needed to stick with that run game. I thought that we went to variety for the sake of variety, not for any kind of efficacy or impact too early. But yeah, Daniel Henry, again, who was a fan of that team that we will be playing next. If Miami D-line eats and gets pressure like Indiana did, Miami slays the Dragon. Yeah, I mean, like that's going to tell the story of the game. And, I know Mike Elko, it hurt his soul to get up there after the game and say, they bullied us on both lines all game, and it got real bad in the second half. His words, not mine. I know that hurt his spirit. But I love the fact that we have a team with the kind of performance to make his spirit hurt. As I go through these, be sure that you like and subscribe to the video. Tyson Tracy, don't get the pushback on Tony scoring at the end. Idiot like Joel Klatt calling it low game IQ. Yeah, in that situation, you've got to go score. We've already missed 3 field goals, and I tweeted it yesterday and even like at the time of scoring during the game when people were bringing it up. You're one issue from a major problem. False start, holding, missed snap exchange, a fumbled handoff exchange if you decide to run it down and actually then try to run the ball in. Maybe you're a random fumble, somebody tripping over the 5-yard line, Carson Beck taking a drop step to go hand off, get stepped on by James Brockermeyer, and there's a million possibilities of one thing that needed to go wrong, and all of a sudden the decision not to go score becomes the Georgia Tech not taking a knee all over again. Nah, dog. Go score. We'll win it on defense. We did it against Notre Dame. We did it against Texas A&M. And look, and I'm fine with that. Go score. The defense has been doing the thing. We're going to make them go march 75 yards. Good GG's and good luck if you can block our defensive line and go make that happen. And they got aided by a bad penalty and whatever. But you got to go score that ball there. And again, you'd already missed 3 field goals. What if you're trying, what if you don't center the ball and it's an angle like the damn kicks on College Football 26 video game, which are, the hardest kicks in the world, and then he misses the short. No, go score. I'm tired of that. No penalties by the offensive line versus 100K on the road. Proof's in the pudding. I've been writing about it all year. I've been complaining about it all year. They said Mario Cristobal famously, I forget which game it was after, came out and said, it's going to get fixed. I'm going over with the offensive line. This ends now. Buck stops with me. This stops. And since that game, I forget what game it was. Maybe it was SMU. Since then, the issues have stopped. So credit to him for taking ownership, evaluating the situation, and designing and implementing fixes to the issues. Great game. There needs to be a discussion about how Blake keeps jumping off sides every single game. Yeah, I get that you want to have the get off, but you play defensive tackle, 1 tech, 3 tech right there over the ball. Look at the ball, boss. Can't have it. Daniel Henry, OSU played at a slow pace all year. It wouldn't be impossible to hold Miami to 48 plays. Let's go look at their they held Minnesota to 51, Wisconsin to 46, Purdue to 44, UCLA to 48, Michigan to 42 total offensive plays. Yeah, that's a concern. So we're going to have to meet the moment. Great stat. And then, making or giving it to me to be able to look up live on the air. So, yeah. Interesting. All right. Let me see. Rayshard Smith, got to make Saiyan see ghosts. He's good, but he's still young. I think it's going to be more about getting pressure than seeing ghosts because they do design and call a very good offensive game plan. So, the seeing ghosts at this point is really when you have a true freshman, especially in the spring game, when, they're going to throw a mesh cross or a dig route over the middle, and you see him start, and then it's whoa, that linebacker isn't he's there. But he's never been there before because in the high school level, that linebacker doesn't flow underneath that. So you see guys and do that. That's kind of the seeing ghosts kind of a thing. I don't necessarily think we're going to make him see that, but I think that if we can just get the pressure from the front, that can impact his performance as well. Smitty, Dawson overused the Wildcat in the first. Don't know what Dawson was thinking. They literally talked about Tony for a week before the game. It's almost like what Larry Coker did before the 2004 Peach Bowl when we got our faces bashed in by LSU. When in the lead up to that game, he was like, oh yeah, what we're going to do is we're going to put Devin Hester on offense because he's played all over the field this year. We're going to put him on offense and we're going to try to get him the ball as a receiver and a running back and in these trick formations. We're going to get him the ball in all these different ways. And I'm like, fam, you said that in public before the game? What are you thinking? And I think it was something akin to that because they were definitely dialed in on that. How's the Canes looking in the 26 football recruiting class? Very strong. Stateoftheu.com. Actually, you know what? I'm actually going to pull it up and show y'all because I can do that because I got a couple of minutes. Share screen. Stateoftheu.com. If you are on the front page, Mark Fletcher's coming back for a senior year, in case you missed that. But right here, the one I have highlighted in blue, that is your National Signing Day story stream with all of the content for signing day, recruiting notebooks for every single player. And I'm doing some other stuff. I will be doing class superlatives, awards, overall thoughts, recap, yada, yada, yada. But go and check that out because there's a lot of great stuff, including the class being led by the Gatorade National Player of the Year, Jackson Cantwell from Nixa, Missouri. So looking pretty good. We hit those super chats already. Smitty says that people tend to leave the weather out of their evaluations of the games that were played. True. Tyson Tracy, he had no way that Tony would have made the throwback to Beck with the defender barreling down on him. Yeah, we talked about that earlier. I'm going back through the chat, so you were right. You said this at the time that I said it, but yes, true. A&M was sitting and really bracketing Tony. Well, duh. But yes. Cam, why does Blake keep gifting the other team 5? I don't know. I had to look and see how many penalties he had, but it seems almost like one or nearly one of those a game. Yeah, we got to look at that. Just trying to get back through all these. Hayden Lowe was dressed in practice, but Dowdy played. Yeah, he's not playing this year. But next year, redshirt freshman, 4 years left. Sam. That will be the answer to one of the people who will be replacing Bain and Mesidor. Chaz Coleman is going to be a Hurricane. Leave me alone. He's the 5-star Penn State transfer defenseman. He was a 4-star out of high school, but like he's grown and developed already. You can look if you look at his high school profile versus his profile now, his just profile picture on his page. Let me get that, please. Michael Soto, I wish Mark was still here. I didn't see. I mean, obviously we were talking from the Buckeye side. How nervous are they? I mean, I think that they're confident because they have a very strong team, but there's a measure of, potential, going bad for them. Didn't we win the game the last time we played against Ohio State? Yes. That was Al Golden's first year against Luke Fickle. Does the 100th year and Natty at Hard Rock factor in Falconer for the Miami Hurricanes? I mean, if we get there, yeah, absolutely. I mean, the movie scenario versus Oregon, but I mean, the movie scenario is pretty. I mean, it's any of them. We beat Texas A&M. That's a reasonable team just to kind of start the thing. We get in. We beat Texas A&M on the road, a reasonably competitive, team from construction and performance. Boom. Then you get Ohio State exorcising demons. Boom. You win that. Then you likely get Georgia, one of the big bad dogs, and right up the road because Florida and Georgia border each other, right? And then you get that game. Boom. Then you return home to Hard Rock Stadium against either Oregon, likely, or Indiana, led by a Miami kid from Columbus High School, the same school that Cristobal and Mirabal went to. We have Bryce Fitzgerald, Columbus alum. We have other guys who are Columbus alums who have played and do play here. And then he's coming home to play against the hometown team. And then we get the movie script could in any of those things, or depending on who comes from the top half of the bracket. Again, if Miami were to, assuming Miami makes it all the way there, to the championship game. We owe Bama for 92. That was one of the first Miami games that I remember watching, and I was because if you haven't read why I became a Miami Hurricane, it's up on StateOfU.com. Basically, I grew up in Detroit. I went to private schools. I found out Miami was a private school. I wanted to continue going to private school, so I went to Miami for college and da-da-da. But I was a baseball player, and I had an old Miami Script M hat for the baseball team because I'm from Detroit, and it's like the old English D of the Tigers hat. This is not that hat from when I was a kid, by the way, but I had one when I was a kid. So I would watch them in the college baseball, the College World Series every year. And then, yeah, I remember watching that game against Alabama, and I just remember, like, I was heartbroken. I was, like, crying. I was like, wait, no, Miami wins. Like, Miami is, like, what? Like, I was definitely rooting for them. I'm like, what is going on here and everything? So, yeah, we definitely owe them for that if we were to get there. Martin Dubé says, this is a great time to broadcast. It's 7 p.m. prime time here in Southern Africa. Man, thank you for being here. Thanks for the support all the way over from the motherland. I definitely appreciate you. Miami is 9-2 in road neutral games where the attendance is above 70K. It's going to be all OSU fans in Dallas, but who cares? Also, Mario has Ryan Day's number. Mario with Oregon did go into the Horseshoe and beat that team when he was there. So I don't know about the number, but he has had success against him in the past. Let me see. One thing most pundits are missing, Martin Dubé says, about Miami is how violent they are in collisions. It's not a stat you can read up on, and that's what opposing fans are missing. True. Hey, watch the film, and that comes through. But yes, definitely casual kind of fans would miss that. Texas A&M game was great because it did not have ACC refs. Amen. Smitty says, take away the Louisville game, and Carson Beck has been A+ all year. Was bad in the Florida game, even though he didn't have a bunch of interceptions. He did have one. Also, I mean, I know that interceptions weren't his fault, but the SMU game, he was very, very good, but lacked in big moments. But again, like, so you have a case there. Michael Soto, love Cam Ward so much, but rather have a top 10 QB and a top 3 defense than have the number 1 QB and a number 60 defense. Honestly, last year's defense was not number 60. It was atrocious. But yeah, different. Is this George? Yo, what? I've mortgaged my house and put everything on the money line in favor of OSU. Do you think it's a safe bet? No, I don't. This is George. You can't force me to change my name back, even though I can't force you to change my name back, even though I never changed it in the first place. I don't know. Maybe go look at your settings, boss. But wow, George in the chat. Okay, interesting. I'm almost to the end of the comments. Aaron Frazier took back 6 to 8 games to finally get used to the skill players' offense and his elbow. It's not accident. Miami's offense was the best games 8 through 12. Yeah, I mean, I think that he was used to it. I mean, like, he had very good games throughout. It just, like, it wasn't perfect. You know what I mean? Like, it definitely did. I'm looking up the game-by-game stats for Mr. Beck. Let's go through those. And we're going to have just a couple of more, and then we're going to get out of here. And I'll let you guys enjoy your holiday season. Let me make sure that you can see this. Cool. And let me remove this comment. Right. So, I mean, yeah, the percentage was great. I mean, he had the 2 ridiculous interceptions against USF. Like, one was, I mean, kind of a miscommunication, but and then one was a great play. But look at the Florida game: 17 for 30, 160, and an interception, no tuds. Like, that's not perfect, Then you come back against Florida State, bomb squad. You have a great completion percentage, 71-4 against Louisville, but you're throwing the ball 4 times. You know what I mean? So, like, there were good games in here, even against USF. I mean, that was a USF team that was ranked and had just come off beating Florida in the swamp. Losers. But, yeah, I think holistically the offense did develop over the year. But, like, he had some nice games earlier on in the season, did Beck. A topic that has not been discussed is Kane 1. How do I feel about the new strength coach since Coach Feld was he wasn't fired. He left of his own volition. I feel good. I feel great about it, honestly. Like, we've had a couple injuries, but it hasn't been pervasive, like it has been in years past. And you see guys have reshaped their body and are largely, if you look at the conditioning side of strength and conditioning, reshape bodies. They play almost all the snaps. Like, Ruben Bain and Akeem Mesidor, like, I would like it maybe if they took a play off here, as in on the sideline, not loafing effort. I would prefer that maybe in the second and third quarter so that they're fresh in the fourth quarter, but they're fresh anyways with playing all these snaps. Like, he's done like the strength conditioning, nutrition, biometrics, all like these departments, and like Marcus Ball keeps mentioning all of them inclusive. And I think it all goes together. So yeah, I think that they've done a really good job. And the thing that I've wanted to see more than anything recently has been fast guys staying fast through the strength and conditioning program, because they come into Miami with this blazing speed from high school and then are pedestrian at the college level. That has been the biggest, most glaring change that I've seen. Yeah, Malachi Tony got tripped up by a heel on a great diving play, but like, he doesn't even get 50 yards on that return. Mark Fletcher, 56 yards. Now, I'm not saying that he like is Jordan Lyle from last year's USF game where he took it 91, but like Mark Fletcher last year or freshman year with that strength and conditioning program gets what? 20, maybe 30 on that play. But like the strength, the lower body strength, flexibility in the ankles and hips to be able to continue to push through with that strength, and then stiff arm a dude. I watched somebody on YouTube or on Instagram Reels count it off. He stiff armed that dude for 35 yards, bro. Like just that functional strength, but then also like skill players having skill and speed and maintaining that through the training program. That's been the biggest thing. So yeah, I feel very positively about the new strength coach and how that works holistically with nutrition, biometrics, and everything put together. Oh my God. Michael Soto, how about the 1-14 Kirby Freeman game against NC State? Bro, we've been through it. So enjoy where we are now. Martin Dubé says, Cam Pruitt's hit on KC Concepcion's punt catch was the play of the game for me because it took Concepcion out of action for at least a quarter. He became a non-factor. Yeah, he stayed on the field, but he definitely wasn't – he didn't have the same zhuzh. But then also, like we talked about in the lead up to the game, they were going to focus on Malachi Tony. We were going to focus on KC Concepcion in not letting him beat us, and that worked. 850 Dresky, hope Dawson has a better game play calling versus OSU. Need him to lock in and have a better feel for the game than he did against A&M. He got a feel for the game late, but yeah, he even spoke about it yesterday. He said, yeah, I'm going to need to dive. Well, actually, that was Corey Heatherman, but I think it applies to Shannon Dawson. Going to need to get a feel for the game early and then make things happen. Respectfully, I don't care. Tyson Tracy, I saw that you asked the David Blake question multiple times, so I'm not going to address that again. Aaron Frazier, wait, to be fair, man, he was a first-time head coach, and previous Miami head coach never got money, resources, support. Yeah, well, honestly, he also doesn't have the power of personality to require all of those things. And even he's not a first-time head coach now. What was the record this year? 7-5. That's what I'm talking about, dog. Like, all due respect to Manny Diaz. We have a better coach. We have a much better program. And Manny Diaz, I don't believe, had the vision and understanding to push for and engender the change and the restructuring of the program that we are seeing under Mario Cristobal. So, yeah. And I mean, he has some resources that do, but we're not going to pretend like he has these resources. We're going to get only a couple of more. Boomski. Dresky says OSU will be rusty from a month off, basically. They might be, or not. They're very, very talented, and one of the best teams in the country. So it's going to take a lot of effort and performance for Miami to be able to rise to the occasion to win the game. Daniel says he's not exactly confident in hammering the OSU pick. I understand that. Dresky says Miami's trenches are as good as OSU's, possibly better. Yeah. Again, I think that the players from 23 to 40 are where they really have an advantage over Miami, does Ohio State. And also Jeremiah Smith is incredible. Speaking of which, 305 Miami Love, what type of defense should we run and who should we put on Jeremiah Smith? We should run the defense that we've run, multiple 4-2-5, 4-3. We really don't play 3 linebackers, but multiple 4-2-5 defense. And the real thing is Miami's gotten pressure with the front 4 without really blitzing. Every now and then they will blitz, from the short side corner or Keontae Scott from the slot. But if you're able to get pressure with 4 and leave 7 in coverage, then you can do more things, especially with Jeremiah Smith. I think that you give him multiple looks. I think I would prefer Ethan O'Connor and or Xavier Lucas on him. I would really like Damari Brown on him because he's rocked up and more physical than OJ Frederick, but he's also injured, and I don't know if he's going to play. And that's really tough. Availability being your best ability. Like, he brings something different to Miami's defense, and like Damari Brown is, I think, the unsung hero, one of the unsung heroes of the defense, because the safeties and Keontae Scott and the defensive line, they get all of the headlines, but he's really been solid in coverage this year. And not having him, I think that all 3, whether it's O'Connor, Lucas, and Frederick, are going to have to cover Jeremiah Smith. I don't think you're not going to just put him on an island one-on-one. That's a bad idea. But you're definitely going to have to place a man with, guy over the top. You're going to have to try to bail and then force him to run a dig route or a slant route, and then maybe have a linebacker kind of flowing underneath, hoping to impact their scheme so that they run those kind of schemes with him. It's going to take a lot. Like, you're really going to have to – Corey Hedman is really going to have to do things in a different way against a star receiver. And like I mentioned earlier, I mentioned it on the Ohio State show, Louisville won the game because their bet was OJ Frederick is not a good enough athlete to run with Chris Bell. And you forget that the field is 53 1/3 yards wide. So if you're lining up almost on the sideline and you're going on a mesh crosser to the other numbers, you're running a 40-yard dash. You can't run with him, go by GG's touchdown, right? And I don't know if they're going to do that same thing with Jeremiah, because they can do that, but also definitely he gets vertical. But yeah, you're going to have to find, like, that was the one game with a star receiver that really ate against Miami. And you're going to have to find ways to mitigate Jeremiah Smith's impact as best you can. And he's much better than Chris Bell. And Chris Bell is a Sunday player. I'm not trying to say he's bad. He's very, very good. Jeremiah Smith is transformational. So, yeah. Everybody in the chat, Dresky and George saying Merry Christmas, obviously. Miami has to win the line. Someone says yes. I'm scrolling. Martin Dubé, you think the size of the OSU D line, other than the nose tackle, I think they have good size and they're very, very, very talented and one of the best defenses in America. But I do think that our offensive line can exploit a little bit of a size advantage from times, but size is not the only thing. There's also speed, there's also hand placement, there's also strength and functional play strength. And Ohio State's defense has a lot of that up front. So yeah, like, even though we do have a size and stature advantage, don't take that to mean it's going to be a walk in the park. Can we trust Beck? We're going to have to, in some points, like, he's going to have to. This is why we paid him all this money. And yeah, we're going to have to put it on the line. Tyson Tracy, their thoughts on the 6'5 safety from Notre Dame in the portal, 4 years of eligibility left. 6'5", 215-pound safety definitely has piqued my interest. I'll have to go back and look at his film and everything. But off the top of my dome, interesting and intriguing prospect, for sure. Really crying about it. Would you keep Blunt as a defensive end to pair with Hayden Lowe next year? Blunt's been both outside and inside, but I think that he's really growing more into like a 5-tech interior defensive lineman. And then, we have Lowe and Lightfoot and others at edge rusher. That's how I see that playing out next year, but we'll talk about next year in a little bit. George, is Miami going to go after DJ Lagway now? I don't think so, but we'll see. And for the win 25, I feel that Dawson has to spread the ball around more. Marion Daniels need more touches. We cannot rely on Tony. I agree with that. And also, like I said earlier, we need more offensive plays to give the ball to more people, whether that's Pringle, whether that's Brown, I don't think it'll be Lyle, but maybe it's Lyle, maybe, more passing. And that goes with the previous question about can we trust Carson Beck? Yeah, you're not going to win the game with 14 of 20 for 103 yards against Ohio State. So you're going to need to do some of that, and that will fall to the receivers for sure. Any word on CJ Bailey yet? No, thank you. Whether he wants to come here or not, respectfully. Enjoy your time elsewhere. And for you, I hope that you've enjoyed this hour and 40 minutes, a couple days before Christmas. So, yeah, thank you guys so much for the support. Thank you for being here. It's a pleasure and a joy to be able to continue to bring you this content and talk about a season that is ongoing for the Miami Hurricanes. While Tomahawk Nation and Florida websites are writing postmortems and season recaps and evaluations of their season in totality, the Miami Hurricanes are continuing the college football playoffs, and I love that fact for me and for us. So I know Mark is gone, but from Mark and myself, happy holidays, Merry Christmas to one and all. We will definitely be back on Monday or Tuesday with a focused game preview episode. And yeah, please be sure that you follow me at Underwood Sports, at The State of the U on Twitter, where I've really been doing more tweeting because my tweet deck is inactive, which, even though I pay for it, but thanks, Elon Musk. Anyway, so at The State of the U is my other Twitter that I'm mainly on, and then stateoftheu.com, where we have tons of content going up all of the time. I am late for lunch with my niece, so I'm going to get out of here. Thank you guys so much. Peace, love, blessings, and I will talk to you Monday or Tuesday. Peace.